Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me once again. In today's fly I'm going to tie you up a simple soft hackle pattern. You probably have tied or heard of the partridge and orange. Well, this is a fly I tie, and I just call it simply the partridge and pheasant, because I replace the partridge, which I don't usually have any, with I use hen or rooster pheasant body feather for the hackle and the tail. And I find it's just as effective myself, so I thought I'd share this pattern with you today here. And what we'll do is get this guy the vise here, fresh hook, and I'll get started. And I'm tying on a larger size for you for the video, a size 8 wet fly hook, standard wet fly hook. I just happen to be using a mustad, but you can use whatever you wish for a wet fly hook that you generally use. I'll lock that down in the vise here. Okay, and I'm using UTC 140, a little heavier for this size hook, in an orange color. So first thing I'll do is start my thread a little ways behind the eye there. We'll get a thread base going back, and we'll come down to about the bend of the hook there, snip off our tag end. Okay, and the first ingredient is just a few pheasant tail fibers, or rather, excuse me, not pheasant tail, pheasant body feather fibers off a pheasant body feather here, hen pheasant. And I usually put quite a sparse tail on them here. Just pluck off a few fibers. I'm not worrying about it being real neat and fancy. It's just going to be a fishing fly, this one. So don't worry if they're not completely lined up and whatnot. And just about the length of the shank. Catch it in with a pinch wrap there. Okay, and we'll wrap that down. I'm just trying to keep a uniform body there where we're going to be using floss for the body. And I'll snip out that excess there. There we go. Come forward a little bit more. Alrighty, so now I have a piece of floss here, about 6 or 7 inches long here, single strand uni floss. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch it in so I have a little bit out the back towards the tail as well. And if you've seen previous videos where I tie floss bodies, you'll know why I do that. If not, I'll show you here when we get to that step. So I'm going to catch my floss in at the front here. And I'm just going to pull that so I have a little bit at the rear. Alright, so now I'm going to just wrap that back. Don't worry about that. If it gets in the way, just move it out of your way there as you're wrapping back. Just trying to build up a nice smooth body here. Okay, that's fine. Now wrap forward once again. And once in a while I'll spin my bobbin counterclockwise to keep my thread flatter before I wrap forward again here. Okay, as you can see, that gets in the way there. Once in a while, just keep it moved out the way. Alright, till I get about right where my floss was tied in, I'll just move my thread in front of that floss. Now, we're going to wrap the body to the rear and forward once again. So we'll start by going rearward. Just like so here, and try to keep a nice smooth uniform body. If it's not perfect, it's no big deal. The trout aren't going to worry about it. As you know, floss likes to fray. As you can see, it's doing on me. Then you just back up, and what I do sometimes is give it just a slight twist, and that'll keep it from fraying on you too much there. Alright, so now we're going to wrap forward again towards the eye. When we get up there, we'll tie off, come around, bring my bobbin up around, then regain my thread tension nice and tight there. Wrap it down, lock it in place, snip off the excess. Now that little piece in the back, what we're going to do is just take that, fold it directly over the top of our body, tie that down in the same spot here in front, pull it nice and tight as you wrap down, and we'll snip that off. And if you haven't seen my videos before, what that does is keep just got a fray fiber there I'm going to snip out. Keeps the floss from sliding down on the bend of the hook when you start fishing the fly or catching fish on it. It's a good little thing to do when you use floss bodies. Just cutting out a few pieces that frayed there, that floss. There we go. Alrighty, last step. It doesn't take much to tie this fly. I have one of those hen pheasant body feathers prepared to tie in. I got a little triangle there tip for a tie-in point. So I'm just going to take that and get that ready to tie in here, folks. once I get it situated. Okay, we'll catch that little tie-in point in there, right behind the eye. Alrighty. Now we're going to grab my plunger pliers here. Grab a hold of that stem. Once I get in there. Alright, so now we'll get that ready to tie. I'll just try to fold those fibers back a little with my fingers. Bring them back a little. Okay, now we'll come down around here. And you're only going to get 2 or 3 wraps here. You don't want a heavy hackle on these flies. As you can, if you've tied the partridge annoyed, you know what I mean. It's pretty much always a sparse hackle on these type of flies. Make a few wraps there. And I'm going to pull down nice and tight. Good thread tension there, nice and tight. Now, just going to make sure my fibers are spread out evenly there, the best they can be. Doesn't have to be perfect. Sweep everything back. And I'm going to wrap back on the stem at the same time as I form a little head here. Okay, nice and tight. Now, I'll reach in and pull out that stem, like so. There we go, folks. There's another size 8 pheasant in orange. Now, the last thing to do is just a whip finish here, so I'll grab my whip finisher. Make a 3 or 4 turn whip finish on this guy here. Okay, there we go. Snug it down nice and tight. Cinch a knot there. Come in and snip off my excess thread. Okay, there we go. It's not the prettiest fly, and there's not much to it, but it's one of those simple fish catching flies, so I thought I'd share it with you. As you can see, it looks kind of messy, but as long as the trout like it, that's all that matters. Okay, so what I'll do next is take a little bit of bone dry here. Just coat the head a little bit there. Protect our thread wraps. Alrighty. Zap it with the torch here. And it's a done deal. There we have it. So, once again, I hope you enjoyed this here tutorial. And if you have these materials kicking around, definitely tie a few of these up. Throw them in your fly box. And like I always say out there, I'm going to wish you all happy tying. And until next time, so long for now, folks.